Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Living Well, 10-minute tips to a healthier you. Can you believe it? We're on episode 8 already. Our topic for today is mindful eating. You may have heard the word mindfulness. You may have heard it applied to programs in schools or in regard to stress reduction. So I thought we would start with a definition of mindfulness. Mindfulness is actually a very ancient concept and an ancient practice. It was practiced historically by many different cultures and religions. And the main vehicle for the practice of mindfulness is through mindful meditation. In the past 30 years, mindfulness has started to be applied to health promotion or the treatment of certain diseases. So back in the 80s, Jon Kabat-Zinn, a physician at Massachusetts University, developed a program for using mindfulness as a way to treat stress and stress conditions. And so he was a pioneer in really using it in disease management. After Jon Kabat-Zinn, then the application of mindfulness started to move into the nutrition and eating world. So Jean Christeller was a psychologist who developed the Mindfulness-Based Eating Awareness training program. That was actually the training that I took. And her research actually started with the investigation of mindfulness and binge eating disorder. But then through grants from the National Institutes of Health, it evolved and progressed to a way to treat general disordered eating and weight management issues. So mindfulness has now become very mainstream. And what we're going to do today is talk about mindfulness in relation to eating behaviors. So first of all, let's get a working definition of mindfulness. Mindfulness is really about staying focused in the present moment. Not letting things that happened in the past or worries about what's happening in the future cloud your thoughts and behaviors. So using the vehicle or the practice of mindful meditation, we can practice giving ourselves a little bit of time and a little bit of space to just accept thoughts and feelings that are happening around us or within us, and to give ourselves just a little bit of time to focus on how we feel at the present moment. So in relation to mindful eating, it's probably easiest to explain what's not mindful eating. So some examples of less than mindful eating would be grazing throughout the day with no regard for hunger or fullness, or eating in regard to stress or other events happening around you. Eating while distracted, so watching TV or being on your phone or playing computer games or whatever, and not focusing on the act of eating. Losing touch with whether you're even hungry when you eat, or what it means to feel full and self-regulate when to stop eating. So mindful eating can help us really tune in more to what's happening in our bodies. So we say to tune in to our inner cues. So what we're going to be practicing actually today is one of the basic tools that we learn in the MBE program, and it's called a simple hunger assessment. So when you sit down to eat, or if you are at a party or at a holiday function, or even at the dinner table, or you're grabbing a snack, do you ever ask yourself before you make that choice, am I really hungry? Or am I eating for a different reason? So the hunger awareness scale is a tool that we can learn to use where we can get back in touch with some of those physical sensations of hunger. So we're actually going to do this together. So I want you to think about a scale, a hunger scale that goes from 1 up to 10, where 1 is the least hungry that you can be. You have no interest in eating. And 10 is the hungriest that you could be, ravenously hungry. So to practice this, it's best to give yourself a little bit of time and space. So possibly if you're about to start a meal, to just sit quietly for just a few seconds, maybe even close your eyes briefly, or focus, softly focus downward, and ask yourself on that scale of 1 to 10, where am I right now? So zero in on a number. And while you're zeroing in, ask yourself, what are the clues that I am using to pick a number? So am I using some physical sensations in my body? Try to make note of what you are using as your information to pick a number. So we can do it right now. So you can close your eyes if you're in a safe place, or you can leave them open and maybe gently focus down in front of you. And ask yourself, what number am I on the hunger scale? Think about, what are the clues that I'm using to pick that number? How am I picking that number? And when you've picked that number and you're ready, if your eyes are closed, you can open them. And if we were having an interactive session, I would ask you, well, what numbers do we have in the room? And why did you pick that number? So in my experience in teaching the MBE program, some of the answers I get early on in the program are, well, I picked an 8 because I know I missed my lunch. My lunch was supposed to be at 12 o'clock and now it's already 2 o'clock. So I think an 8 is a good number for me. So that's an example of using information that's really not our inner wisdom. It's more about outer wisdom, the time, the place, the knowledge that we skipped lunch. But the answer that we're trying to practice arriving at is, did you feel certain sensations in your body? So is your stomach growling? Are you salivating, even thinking about food? Do you feel very empty? So tuning in, learning to tune in to our body's cues is really the purpose of this exercise. And how can we use the hunger assessment scale? Well, we can use it, as I said, if we're about to make a food choice. Let's say we're about to snack after dinner time. If we can sort of pause and do a quick hunger assessment, maybe take a deep breath, ask ourselves, what number am I? And is there another reason why I might be wanting to have food besides actual hunger? So you can use the hunger scale before any meal, before a snack, before you go to a buffet, before you see yourself become involved in stress eating, or any time that you want to really decide the reason for your food choice and the act of eating. So I hope that you found the introduction to mindful eating possibly helpful. If you liked it, I'm planning to do a 4-week series later on in the year, probably at the end of the summer. And what we'll be doing in that series is exploring some of the other tools and strategies to practice more mindful eating. Next week in the Eating Well series, we're going to talk about physical activity. How do we know if we're doing enough, and how can we stay motivated? So I hope you join me next week. I promise it won't take more than 10 minutes, and I will see you then.